On today's video, I'm going to be talking about the most powerful way to raise your energy instantly. Hello, welcome back. My name is Dom and I help people to step into their truth and power. Today, I am going to be sharing with you the most powerful tools and the most powerful perspectives that have allowed me to feel good a majority of the time. Now, this is going to be coming into understanding that this is the way we raise our energetic set points as quickly as we possibly can. This is something that I've shared a couple of times before in other videos, but I wanted to make a video that spoke only about this so that you have a specific video that you can reference in understanding how to raise your energetic set point for how you feel. Now, with this process, I'm going to be using it in referencing a scale that you may have seen me use in a drawing in the past. This is a picture of the full scale that actually comes from a book called Power vs. Force from David Hawkins. And in this book, he points out that there are different energetic states of being. And under these levels, you'll notice that at the bottom, you have the emotions of shame and guilt and anger. And then eventually as you move up into willingness to try. And above that, love and joy and peace, all the way up to enlightenment. I started learning about this back in 2010, and I really began applying it over the past 7 years. Now, I'm not saying I'm enlightened or perfect, but what I am saying is that before I started applying it and learning this stuff, my set point at best was mainly between pride and courage in this just getting by area of the scale at best. And because I grew up an overweight, awkward kid that was picked on, my self-esteem was in the toilet because I lacked belief in myself and I struggled with feeling good enough. So I always needed to be affirmed in everything I was doing. And then later in life, the experience of going through divorce kept me down in anger and even guilt, shame, and victimhood for a time. And some of the things that I went through, I was having attachments to perspectives that just weren't serving me well anymore. But this is when I realized I needed to do something different than I had been doing. And I really began applying this stuff. But my big breakthrough came just a few years ago when I started to meditate. There was something that happened to me that I became very aware of. Our thoughts are always going to be from a certain perspective, and there's going to be a certain momentum from our thoughts. So I had a lot of thoughts that were caught in a negative momentum, which I realized were actually perpetual loops of feeling negative things about certain things that happened to me through my life. And I carried those around with me into my adulthood. And I didn't just carry them with me, but I brought them from relationship to relationship, both personally and professionally. But the moment I started to meditate, I started to observe my thoughts. And this is the difference between observing thoughts instead of controlling them. It was a major game changer for me that when it came to raising my energy, it was when I was able to observe my thoughts rather than react to them that I started to break through. The first few times I tried meditating, I was so focused on trying to control my thoughts. And then I learned about this secret and I knew the idea of our thoughts were actually free in our experience. So I became this person that was trying to control them. And so if I had a negative thought, I would try to get it out of my mind as quickly as I could. And that created a resistance. And that resistance caused more of that perpetuation. So the game changer was when I let the thoughts just be there and I observed them from a neutral place. I didn't judge them. I didn't label them as good or bad. I just let them simply be. This was the huge game changer. And so if you look at where that is on the scale, you go from willingness and then you realize that this is neutrality. And neutrality is where all the power is to be had. When you are able to observe your thoughts, in doing this, it takes the charge out of the lower emotions. It takes the charge completely out of the equation and brings you into a neutral spot. So the best and most powerful way to do this is through the practice of forgiveness. Forgive anyone that has ever done anything wrong to you. Forgive yourself for any situation that you may have put yourself in. And as you simply let things be, and as you forgive, you will begin to neutralize it. And that's where all the power is. Letting go of all these perspectives and all these stories that we tell ourselves that no longer serve, and all these lower emotional states of being. Because remember, these emotional states of being are on a loop, and they're going to continue to perpetuate themselves as we fall back into any habitual hypnotic thoughts that we might have or have developed. We are in a habitual hypnotic repetition when we keep falling back over and over again into these lower realms of thinking and feeling. But the key is to first become aware of the way we are thinking and feeling, and then be able to neutralize it. So realize that the most powerful way to do that is true forgiveness. Now, this comes from understanding that perspectives come from attachments to memories and attachments to stories. So we need to become aware of our stories in order to be able to create this forgiveness. I've had a number of stories, and now I can look back at my stories and say, hey, I went through that, so now I can help other people. It's allowed me to let go of all the negative things, and it doesn't control my life anymore. But like many of you, I have a story of someone that was very controlling. And it's a story, and even though I'm aware that it's there, there's no negativity to it, because it eventually led me to the light of information that I'm now sharing with you. It led me to wanting to go deeper within myself and to let those negative aspects just go. So it's a neutralization of it. I finally decided to let them go by changing the focus of how bad it was to how it can be neutral and how it actually benefited me in the long run. There were a lot of benefits in having the negative experiences I went through, because it led me to my own awakening of this information, as well as all the other things that I'm sharing with you on this channel. The other thing I want to explain about one of the most powerful ways to raise your energy is to simply change your environment. People many times will hold us in a familiar frame or hold us in a similar expectancy of how they expect you to act or react. And if you have been negative and filled with judgment and opinions in the past, they're going to expect you to continue to be that way. And so when you don't feed into their negativity and agree with their story and their complaining, then they're going to treat you a certain way. And what you'll need to realize is you may need to actually get away or create more space between you and certain people that bring you down or that are very negative. This means you may need to get into a completely different environment. And this might include where you spend the majority of your time in your day-to-day life. Because certain things are actually priming you to feel a certain way. So if your room or your home makes you feel a certain way, and you look around and things are always reminding you of the past or making you feel miserable, then that will create more of those feelings. The same thing with a job. If you keep dreading going into your job is going to be priming you to feel a certain way. Now, you could always reduce and release the attachment to the stories. You could just simply decide to let them go. You could neutralize them, but what you could also do is to get into a new environment, which is what I did. I also learned to meditate. I learned how to expand my horizons for where I am, and that really allowed me to feel really good the majority of the time. Now, I'm not saying that I never feel these lower levels of feelings anymore. I'm not saying that at all. I still feel those feelings from time to time. But what I'm saying is I don't allow myself to get stuck there anymore. I believe the reason that is because I've learned how to let go of these lower emotions. And I've learned how to accept and allow surrendering to the moment. Because when you let all of this baggage, this lower level energy stuff go, it all begins to evaporate away. What then happens is you allow yourself to become present to them instead of reacting to them. The cortisol hormone that goes through the body regulates stress. And so this makes it so you don't feel so much cortisol. At the same time, your body will increase a hormone in the heart, which is called oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone that is connected to feeling good. You can actually begin to experience this by simply closing your eyes, putting your hands over your heart, and begin to call up gratitude. You can do this every single day, calling up an emotion or remembering a positive memory in your life and feeling connected to the people that you love and enjoy being around. And as you do this, you are literally raising your energetic level and expanding out your energy. It is a very powerful way to connect to the coherence of the mind. This is actually something that is newer for me, that I've really been coming into understanding with. And because a lot of the information on this channel is related to the idea of how to improve your mindset and raising your emotional intelligence and letting go of the beliefs that no longer serve as the definitions we're attached to, I wanted to share this with you. In fact, I recently started doing a visualization that takes me from my mind down into my heart, and it only takes about 10 minutes to do. If you'd like to give it a try, I did put the link for you in the description box and comments below. You can download it for free right now. But when we connect to the heart, there is so much power in that it will change just about everything. But I recommend doing it at least daily to raise your energetic level and natural set point. It's best to do this when you first wake up in the morning, as the very first thing you do. Just put your hands over your heart while you're still laying in bed and focus on things that you're grateful for. Focus on feeling the energy in your heart grow and expand more and more. And as you can imagine that, imagine the connection from your heart back to your head. Just focus on the feeling and watch how that powerfully influences your whole day. So with that being said, remember that all you have to do is let go of the attachment to the story that you might be telling yourself. Become more aware and observant of your thoughts and feelings rather than reactive. And as you do that, you'll naturally start to raise your energetic level and set point. And from that point, change your environment. Then, realizing that as you simply focus on gratitude, as you focus on that connection from your heart to your head, everything will begin to change. And so I'm curious, what really resonated with you the most in this video today? What really resonated with you the most in this video today? Share in the comments, because I want to be able to support you on your journey and encourage you wherever you may be. And so until I connect with you again for my next video, stay well, stay healthy, and stay empowered.